Hi, my name is Laura Mardonis, and I'm here to answer a very simple question. Can you actually rehearse online in a larger group? And the quick and easy answer is yes. And today I'm going to tell you a little bit about what to expect in order to get to this point. As I said, my name is Laura Mardonis, and my credentials, well, I have about 20 years of barbershop singing and now lately for the past 10 or more years I've been singing with the three times world champion Rehearsing show chorus. As of April 2020, I started using Jamulus to sing and rehearse online, not with that ensemble, but with the group from the Jamulus World Jam. So since April, I've been performing weekly at the Jamulus World Jam show. It's a live show combining artists from all over Europe. So don't miss it. Check it out every Saturday. I'm also one of the founding members of the Jamulus Chambers Choir and also the Jamulus Big Band in Sweden. And finally, I have now recently started up a new company called MusicBridge together with two of my World Jam partners. And we offer a complete solution for any groups and ensembles who want to get started quickly using Jamulus. So, what is Jamulus then? If you don't know that, let me tell you, it's a piece of software and a tool that'll allow you to create, make music and sing together in real time with many other people in such a way that actually the sound comes out in one end synced, which is the big deal. As you've noticed, if you've tried to sing together or play together using video conferencing systems, everything gets out of whack. It's all wonky and it doesn't really sync up. And that's the problem, which other software, not just Jamulus, also solve. We have, for instance, Jamkazam and Ninjam, Sonobus, and Swedish Elk Audio is coming out with a cool solution. Now, these others, however, they work on a peer-to-peer technology solution, which is kind of it's tricky in a way that demands that each user sort of has a slightly more complicated tech setup. Audio might be better, latency might be better in these solutions, but it requires more tech know-how than even Jamulus, which in itself is also quite tech intense for some users. But also the consequence is then also that these other systems aren't as well suited for many people playing together. Whereas Jamulus is different because that is based on a more hub spoke strategy, sending all the sound into one server. All the signals goes into one server, and that's where the signal gets mixed and sent out to all the users at once it's been mixed together. So as a Jamulus user, you always want to be listening to the signal coming back from the server. Never ever do some direct monitoring, at least not if you think you might have some latency to deal with. And I'm going to talk to you about latency in a while. So this is the tool I would recommend for you and your group and your ensemble to use in order to get started with your online rehearsals and online performances for that matter. Everything is possible. It's suited for bigger groups and it works. Proven. Myself, as I mentioned, the Jamulus World Jam, but also with my choir running a show chorus. Today we're more than 40, closer to 50 people um, rehearsing every Tuesday. So numbers aren't an issue either. I've been singing with as many as 70 people. We were doing Christmas carols and we were spread out all over Europe from Hungary to Ireland, Netherlands up to Sweden and every country in between. So distances aren't that big a deal. If you're even within one city or county or state or even a country, it's just going to be fine, generally speaking. It's bigger distances where latency really becomes an issue, or also depending on the delay that you add on with your own setup. And I'll get back to that. My point is, it works. So there's no reason to not get started with your online rehearsals, but be aware of three things that you need to sort of manage. And here's my way of managing your expectations. This is going to take some work and it might be tough. So let's get started. The three things you need to keep track of or be aware of is the fact that latency does exist. You'll need to make sure that everybody's on wired connections, and you'll need to have some sort of a tech know-how team, a tech team to support everybody else in the group. What about latency then? Well, you can never get away from the laws of physics. It's going to be, there's going to be some time for a signal to come through. And it's nothing weird about it. It's not nothing weirder than standing on one end of a football stadium trying to chant along with the people on the other side, and there's going to be delay. But as long as you get delays of, say, 30 milliseconds, that's about standing 30 feet away from each other, and that's manageable indeed. That's barely perceptible. If you get up to latencies of 60 milliseconds, it's going to be more noticeable, but still quite doable. Upwards 90 and 120 milliseconds, then you're dealing with kind of tough latency, and you're going to really have to battle against it, but it's also doable, and regularly musicians do this. For instance, if you play the organ, you kind of have to anticipate the beat and stay ahead of it, because you're pushing your with the feet, and you're banging the keys, and it takes a while for the sound to push through all that air and create the noise upstairs and whatever pipes you got going. So organists, organ players, they manage, so could you. The brain is a wondrous thing. As long as this latency is constant and doesn't change, your brain is going to adapt, and it's going to be able to manage it. Spend about an hour and you'll barely notice it. At least you'll know how to deal with it. So, and as I mentioned, most likely your delay is going to be marginal and manageable. And in particular, if you've done all you can to optimize your own setup to minimize the latency you're adding on with your computer and your um, signals. So, latency is a fact. Don't worry. I think you can manage. Just be aware of it. And there are techniques on how to rehearse when you have a little bit of latency as well. Wired connections, to minimize said latency and to get a stable connection, Wi-Fi is a big no. The same applies for Bluetooth connections. So you want to have a network cable plugged into your computer. And so it goes without saying, no mobile internet, no cell phones, smartphones, or surf tablets are going to work in this either. Jamulus has not been developed for those platforms yet. If you're interested in actually developing Jamulus for Android or for iOS, you're welcome to it. Jamulus is an open source software, and they welcome every able-bodied programmer and coder in there. So if you want to keep on working on that particular project, please go ahead, because I'm pretty sure there's some way to adapt to plug in some adapter and have an Ethernet connection to your Surf tablet or cell phone. That's go ahead if you want to. Other than that, I would say computer is the way to go. Any Linux, any Mac, or Windows PC works well. I would not recommend Chromebook because that's kind of a hit and miss. So if you're buying something new for just this purpose, buying a new computer or laptop, I would not tell you to go with a Chromebook. Um, Other than that, I would say typically if you don't want to if you want to optimize your computer, you could possibly burn an OS image onto USB stick and have it and run it from the USB stick, and then you have your dedicated Jamulus computer. That's one option that a lot of people are testing. And also, you can build your own dedicated little Jambox using a Raspberry Pi. That's all the rage now amongst the Jamulusians, and that's actually part of the solution that my own company, MusicBridge, is offering. A Jambox is part of the complete solution. It's a good solution. I like it, and usually when I'm singing on Jamulus nowadays, I only use my Jambox. So, other than that, I also mentioned you need to have wired connection for your headset as well. Again, to decrease the latency you're adding onto the signal. Also, nowadays, I recommend to use a USB headset. You could get away with just using your regular cell phone headset and plugging it into your 3.5 millimeter audio plug or audio jack of your computer. But if you're on a Windows, in particular using the sound driver ASIO for all, it might be a little bit tricky to set it up. You can spend hours and hours and hours on ASIO for all. So try to make life easy on yourself, I would recommend your entire ensemble or group to use the same sort of setup and minimize the variance you have. So go for one type of headset. A USB gamer headset for 7.1 surround sound typically will support 48 kilohertz, which is a requirement for Jamulus. Any old office headset will not do, even though it does have a USB connection. So please be careful with the specs if you're buying stuff. You can also have external microphones like the Rode or the Blue Yeti. You might also have a Zoom H1 or H6, and those work fine as well. And then you would plug your headset into or headphones into the microphone. Please be wary of direct monitoring. If you have the least bit of latency in your signal, you do not want to be listening to the direct monitoring coming straight from your mouth or from your instrument into your ears, but you want to hear the signal coming back to you mixed together with everybody else so you can gauge whether you are timing yourself right in relation to the others. So direct monitoring is a courtesy to them as well as to you. Okay, so finally, if you're plugging up your instrument, you will probably already have an audio interface, an external audio interface, but that is also an option to connect your microphone and headsets and headphones. So Behringer has fairly price cheap ones worth the price, and as well as I personally use the Scarlett Focusrite, and there are many others out there. Um, Lots of recommendations in the Facebook groups if you are to join us there and ask around, shop around. But if you have an audio interface already, that shows us that you have a little bit of tech know-how, which brings us into the final subject, because you do need it. You need at least somebody in your group, at least a team, I would say, so you can support everybody else. The larger the group, the more support you'll need. Get ready and get set up to have a tech team there to support everybody who runs into issues, installing Jamulus, installing SEO for all, setting up everything, learning how to handle Jamulus. Everybody needs to learn how to handle their own Jamulus instance, and everybody needs to handle everybody else's levels in their own mix. So it can turn into kind of a big project. So be prepared. Have a forerunner group who learns everything ahead of time, and then they teach it to everybody else. So this is going to take a little bit of time and effort, and it's well worth the effort. And if you just don't want to go through all that hard work but still reap the benefits of Jamulus, hey, you can always toss money at the problem and buy a solution from MusicBridge. So those are the three things you need to be aware of. Latency is real, you need wired connections, and you need some tech know-how. Arm yourself with these things and you're good to go. Now, if you do want to buy some help, if you have any of these objections from your group that you can't quite get around, contact us and we'll help you get set up. We offer a complete solution, which is a combination of a Jambox and a subscription to our platform, which offers a very simple, very scaled down and easy to use interface for the regular users. And the beauty is that you connect the box itself to the network, but then the platform is accessible online using any kind of device. So you can access this with your cell phone or surf tablet or even your computer if you wanted to. And it's very simple, and the regular user can't do a lot, which is a blessing for them. And instead, the admin can fiddle with the levels for everybody else, which is a blessing for everybody because it's managed in one place. So if you go onto our website, you can see a clearer picture of what the complete solution subscription costs monthly for different sized ensembles and groups. And you can find us on https://musicbridge.world. So that was my plug. Anyway, the big question was, can you rehearse online? The answer is yes. Should you? By golly, yes, because this is a tool that's going to be very useful moving forward. This isn't just temporary. Uh, we've found that ensembles who rehearse on Jamulus regularly, when they get together in real life, are much better, much tighter synced, are much more able to keep a beat and be together in the tempo. And as far as singers are concerned, at least, better intonation, because you can hear much better your own voice and your own production of sound in the headset. So you're working a lot more with your own vocal production. So it's actually helping you become a better musician in so many senses. So why wouldn't you be using this in a more regular sense, even after you might have gotten out of lockdown or other restrictions? So do it. Get on board, get with Jamulus, and get started rehearsing online, because this is also a way for you to perform online, for instance, at the Jamulus World Jam. So don't wait around. Go get Jamulus, install it, start working. Oh, I'll see you there. I'm going to post a long list of different Facebook groups that you might join to ask for help and assistance. There's tons of people out there, and we're just waiting for somebody to ask a question that we can help, because we like to pay it forward. I'll see you there.